Here's something you don't hear every day. easyJet is one of my favorite airlines. Yes, the European budget airline. But one crucial decision will mean the difference between a cramped low-cost carrier and a perfectly pleasant no-frills flight. The complete easyJet experience today on Markus Travels. You'll see that it was the best of times, it was the worst of times on this trip from Basel, Switzerland to Copenhagen, Denmark and back. The flight time is around 1.5 hours. Welcome to the EuroAirport here outside of Basel. I've already done online check-in, I'm doing hand luggage only, so let's go inside and go through security. easyJet is the second biggest budget airline in Europe after Ryanair, measured by number of passengers carried. If you measure by available seat kilometers instead, easyJet is actually the biggest low-cost carrier in the world. Full disclosure, I fly easyJet a lot. I have not flown Ryanair for almost 20 years. I paid myself for this trip, like every other trip, so that you get a non-sponsored and authentic travel review. Welcome to my channel, Markus Travels. Because easyJet is a low-cost carrier, the rules on luggage are both strict and crystal clear. If you want to bring a normal-sized cabin bag, you have to pay for it. If you want to check a bag, you have to pay for it. For free, you get to bring one small cabin bag only. This could be a handbag or a small backpack. It must fit under the seat in front of you. The maximum dimensions in metric are 45 by 36 by 20 centimeters. In freedom units, that's around 18 by 14 by 8 inches. That's what I went for on this trip. This is my smaller Osprey backpack. There's a link to it in the description below. The easyJet bag sizer has one side for normal cabin bags and one side for the small bag. My bag more or less fits on the small bag side. This should be okay under the seat, foreshadowing for later. There's no wait at the easyJet check-in counter. They have their own dedicated area here at the Basel EuroAirport. In the main check-in hall, where the other airlines have their counters, it's a lot busier on this Friday afternoon. The security check went lightning fast because there was nobody in line. They do have a priority line, but it almost always makes no difference here at the EuroAirport. I do kind of feel bad about one thing, because last year I named the EuroAirport as one of the worst airports, and it's actually not that bad. It just isn't a particular airport, but it is incredibly efficient. The gate area is on the lower level in the Schengen zone. I found the gate number 35. It's about 70 minutes until boarding starts. There is a coffee and snack machine right there behind me, but I'm gonna go up the stairs and look for something a little bit more substantial. Luckily, there's a Starbucks just above the staircase. This dragon fruit cheesecake was not excellent. Starbucks here at the airport only serves it in takeaway boxes. That's pretty ghetto. I certainly remember a time when this was a different cafe before it became a Starbucks, and it looks much more popular now. I think this was a good move for EuroAirport. The price for the cake and the coffee was €11.30. The EuroAirport may be located physically in France, but these are still Swiss Starbucks prices. But still, a lot of people seem to love it. Looking out at these easyJet A320s, you can definitely tell that the EuroAirport is an easyJet kind of airport. In Switzerland, this is their major hub, and they even have a Swiss subsidiary, easyJet Switzerland. easyJet uses movable stairs, and they make use of both the front and the rear doors. This is an extremely efficient process, and I much prefer these big stairs to the built-in small stairs that you would find on a regional jet. This is the first travel video that I'm filming with my new wide aperture lens. What it does is that it makes the background all blurry. This is supposed to be a more cinematic look, but I'm not convinced that this is actually a good look for a travel video. And when it comes time to switch to my phone camera, I'm sure that you'll be able to tell the difference because everything will be in focus. The lens does have two limitations compared to my other vlogging lens. One, it's heavier. It's heavier to hold in my hand. And two, it does not have built-in image stabilization in the lens. So I'm now relying on the image stabilization in my Canon camera instead. Let's see how that works out. So let me know in the comments, do you think this lens gives a good look for a travel video? Boarding on easyJet is not like boarding a legacy carrier. When the boarding quote-unquote opens, you can approach the gate and have your boarding pass scanned. But they don't let you on the plane right away. Instead, they put you in this holding pen. That's because while they are doing this so-called boarding, the arriving aircraft is still deplaning. One interesting feature with easyJet is that, unlike other airlines, they indicate the time when the gate closes, not when the boarding begins. Although I think in reality it's the same thing. Regardless, that time is in 6 minutes, so I better go down the stairs and approach the gate. You can pay extra for something that easyJet calls Speedy Boarding, but it's not the same as priority boarding on a full-service airline. All it means is that you get a special line that will let you into the holding pen earlier, but you might still have to stand there for 20 minutes. And yes, you'll be the first group to walk on the plane, but I think it's more comfortable to wait in the seating area. The easyJet gate agent told me to stop filming. Luckily, all of the passengers behind me are completely blurred, thanks to the lens I'm using. Here is a better view of the holding pen from the return trip. This is at the Foxtrot gates at Copenhagen Airport. We'll cover the whole return trip later in the video. There you'll also see one big difference that's key when flying easyJet. The queue at the gate behind me is thinning out. In a couple of minutes, I think I will approach the gate. It's time to board our Airbus A320. The cabin is laid out in a 3+3 configuration. There is no business class or anything like that here. Today's flight is completely packed. My small cabin bag goes on the floor under the seat in front of me. And that means that I have no space for my feet. Welcome aboard this easyJet flight over to Copenhagen. I made myself comfortable here in seat number 14, Foxtrot. The space for my knees is adequate, just what you would expect on a low-cost carrier. The same goes for the advertising in front of me. We'll do a complete seat tour after takeoff. As we leave the Basel EuroAirport, let's talk about the business model of easyJet. It's a low-cost carrier, and you might be thinking Southwest Airlines, but it's not that. Southwest has free checked bags, a mileage program, and no change fees. easyJet has none of that. It's more of an ultra-low-cost carrier, think Spirit or Frontier. Everything is a la carte. But there's no hidden fees. easyJet is extremely transparent about what's included, which is essentially nothing. But you know that when booking. That also means that fares are low. We'll talk more about the price and the value for money at the end of the video. This is what the seats look like after everyone left. I like the orange trim. The same orange trim from the seats can be seen just below the lockers and also on the crew uniforms. The branding here is strong. I have a seat pocket in front of me, perfect to hold my camera, I thought. Until the camera fell to the floor because the right side is broken. Whether I broke it or not with my heavy camera, who's to say? There's a coat hook between the seats in front. The seat also has an armrest, but it is shorter than a normal armrest, a very ultra low-cost carrier feature. At least we have individual air vents. The tray table is extremely sturdy, if a bit small. I can even move it closer to me. There's no food or drink included in the ticket price. But easyJet has an extensive buy on board menu, 18 pages in fact. The prices I find extremely reasonable, and they serve my favorite beer, Brewdog. One thing was missing though, a toothpick or a fork for the olives. As for entertainment, there's nothing, and no Wi-Fi. But who needs it when you can look outside? We'll cover the updated cabin layout and do a lavatory tour on the return flight. That's coming up in just a minute. You can also jump there with the chapter markings. There you will also see the one factor that made the return flight so much more comfortable. As we approach Copenhagen Airport, I want to highlight the extremely efficient operations of easyJet. As soon as the cabin crew completed the meal service, they walk around with the duty-free offers. There's no wasted time on easyJet. But what about when something goes wrong? There too, easyJet is outstanding. Delays happen, of course, that's the case for all airlines. But in my experience, nobody handles disruptions as well as these guys. 2 times I've had to file a claim for compensation under the EU rules due to a delay on easyJet. It's a simple online form, and I had the money on my account within a couple of days. No questions asked, no fighting with the call center, it just worked. The passenger experience on easyJet, it may not be luxurious, but it is amazingly consistent. And that's why they are one of my favorite airlines. Hit the like button if you're getting value from the video. After we land in Copenhagen, it's a short walk outside to the terminal. I'm happy it's not raining anymore. Welcome to Copenhagen. We arrived here at gate Foxtrot 7. This is part of the low-cost terminal here at Copenhagen Airport. Now let's find our way over to the main terminal and then the exit. Some parts of Copenhagen Airport are really beautiful. This hallway is not one of them. Yes, it's another white tunnel, but the central area is really worth it. I got into Copenhagen city center with the awesome driverless metro. You can tell it's driverless by sitting in front. On the way back, I took the train instead. Copenhagen is one of my favorite airports. You may have heard me say that before. It's a place where people actually enjoy hanging out. Just look at this crowd watching the handball European Championships at the sports bar. I had myself a nice burger at this place called Union Kitchen. I love the chill music they played. I wrote in my notes that I didn't even put my headphones on. That's rare for me. Oh, and look at this cool truck decor. That was a delicious dinner here at the Union Kitchen. Now we're back at the budget terminal. Here you can see people deplaning, and at the same time, easyJet already got a bunch of people checked in into the holding pen. The Speedy Boarding, so-called priority line, is on the left-hand side in this shot. I'm one of the last passengers to board. I'm using the rear stairs this time. This is a different aircraft than the one I arrived on. This is an Airbus A320neo. It even says Neo on the livery. And even more specifically, the easyJet app mentioned that this was a Neo livery aircraft. They must love their livery. And here's where the good news hits me. There are a whole heap of empty seats here in the back. Welcome aboard. This is jet flight over to Basel. I got myself a whole row of seats for this one. That's a pretty good deal. Most importantly, this means that I won't have to have my backpack at my feet. So I put it in the overhead bin instead because there was plenty of space. This was the best of times. Being able to stow the bag was the one thing that made a huge difference for my comfort. So next time I will probably just pay for the bag space. Because this is the Neo model of the Airbus A320, we have updated seats. The orange trim is gone. Now there's orange stitching instead. The seats look more subdued, maybe more elegant. The legroom is the same as before. Let's check out the lavatory. It's small, but in good condition. A few things stand out here. One is the easyJet branded soap. Another one is the air sickness bags. I don't think I've seen those in the lavatory on other airlines. The last thing is that there is light at foot level. Looks good. We have 2 sturdy bars to hold on to. And for additional mobility assistance, there's an extra seat that folds down here for those who need it. As we arrive back in Basel, let's talk about the price and the value for money. This whole trip, both flights, cost me a total of 114 Swiss francs. That's approximately $130 US. For a reliable, efficient, and modern budget airline, flying between 2 very convenient major airports, I think that's tremendous value. If you got value from this video, there are many ways that you can support this channel, Markus Travels. For free, you can subscribe or hit the like button, or you can make a small donation with this super thanks $sign just below the video. Thank you for doing that. I have a couple of more videos out of Copenhagen. For the best food, click or tap the screen here for SAS Business Class. And for the best aircraft, click or tap the screen for Air Baltic. Thank you for watching Markus Travels, and I will see you in the next video.